Good afternoon, boys and girls. Thank you very much for coming in to 5th grade math today. We're going to be doing an introduction to volume. You will need a pencil and paper or a whiteboard and a whiteboard marker to follow along with me. You will also need your introduction to volume individual practice worksheet. We will be answering a few questions together, so you need to make sure you're paying attention and you're following along. Alrighty, if you do not have those, go ahead and pause me now. Make sure you have them before we start. So our objective today are I can statements. I can identify volume as an attribute of a solid figure. And I can measure the volume by counting the unit cubes. So you might be thinking, what is volume? A volume is the amount of space taken up by a three-dimensional object, and it is measured in cubic units. Think three-dimensional. 3D. Think of those really cool movies you go see, how things jump out at you and they look like they have volume. That's what we're going to be figuring out today, is three-dimensional objects and how we can measure what's inside of them. So take a look down here. We have a house, a dictionary, a tent, and a carton of milk. All of these objects are three-dimensional. They have a volume inside of them. One other word you're going to hear lots today is prism. A solid three-dimensional shape with two identical parallel polygon bases. So right here we have a rectangular prism. Okay, so what is the difference? You're probably very familiar with perimeter. You've been learning this for the last 2 years. The perimeter is the distance around the outside of the shape calculated by adding all the lengths and the sides together. So right here we have your perimeter. Imagine this is your bedroom. The perimeter is the baseboards. So to solve for perimeter, we're going to add all 4 of these together. Let's go to area. Oops, sorry, there we go. Area, the amount of space inside the boundary of a flat two-dimensional object, such as a triangle, a circle, or a square. And it's measured in squared units. Units squared. Remember you put the little 2 when you're measuring area? It's flat, two-dimensional. There's no volume there. So if we're thinking about your bedroom, we're actually thinking about the carpet. The carpet is at the very bottom of your room. Maybe it's hardwood or tile. It's flat. It's barely taking up any space. We measure it in square units. Moving right along to volume, where we're going to focus today. Volume is the amount of space taken up by three-dimensional objects, and it's measured in cubic units. Back to our bedroom reference over here, it's going to be the air inside your room. Think of all the air surrounding you. We're going to measure in cubic units. So let's take a look at actual cube. This cube is 1 centimeter long, 1 centimeter wide, and 1 centimeter high. We say the volume is 1 cubic centimeter. If we put 4 of them together, it would look a little something like this. We have all 4 together, and we would say the new shape has a volume of 4 cubic centimeters. If we were looking at a question and it wasn't labeled, pretend this centimeter marks right here weren't labeled, we would call it cubic units. We still need to make sure we use cubic to make sure that we're showing it has volume. It is three-dimensional. So when in doubt, use cubic units. If you do see a unit attached to the cube, like centimeters right here, we're going to say centimeters cubed or cubic centimeters. Always need a unit, especially when we're dealing with volume, so you know it's three-dimensional. Super duper important. So take a look at this picture. It shows 1 cube right here. John used the cubes to build this shape. How many cubes are in the shape John built? This one's fairly simple because we can look, there's no layers over here. So we can go ahead and easily count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 cubic units. or 12 cubes are in the shape that John built. I know, you're thinking, Ms. Tradewell, this is super easy, let's move on. So let's start looking at stacking our cubes and building up our volume. So we can begin by stacking the cubic unit to the bottom of the prism. And this is when it gets tricky, when we can't see how many cubes are in the middle. So that's why we're always going to look at the sides. So you can see right here we have 3 units, and on the side we have 3 units. If you count them, 3, 6, 9, you would see there's 9 cubes, the bottom of that prism. The bottom layer holds 9 cubes. We can continue to stack the prism to see what we would get. And let's take a look. We can estimate here that we can probably stack 2 more cubes on top. Let me go ahead and draw a line. So we have right here 1 more layer, 2 more layers. So if we know the bottom has 9 cubic units, the middle layer is going to be the same. We're just stacking them right on top. So 9, 9, and then the top layer has 9 as well. So we would say this prism has 27 cubic units. 9, 18, 27. 27 cubic units. So here is a little bit better image for you than just me drawing that line. Here we have our 9. 18, you can see that there's still an area for us to put 1 more layer down. And then 27. 27 cubic units. I hope you're still following along with me. We're going to do something pretty cool, but before we start, I want you to make a prediction. How many of these cubes do you think we can fit into this box? Take a guess. Maybe write on your whiteboard. You can check later to see if you're right. All right. I'm going to send you this link for a different one just here in a moment. But right now, let's take a look. So if we are to move, all you do is click down and pull. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We filled up that entire rectangular prism with 8 cubes. Did any of you guess 8? Maybe? At first, I only thought there was 6. Before you leave today, I'm going to send you a link where there's lots of different prisms you can pull and take guess estimates at and have fun with it. Volume's fun. So moving right along, let's try some of these together. So let's take a look at this rectangular prism. How many units are on the top layer? So this time we're looking at the top because we can see all of them from above. So go ahead, count the top layer. How many units are there? Yeah, there's 4 units. So if we know there's 4 units on the top, we know there's 4 units on the bottom. The shape is not changing. It is a rectangular prism. Remember, it's parallel. It's the same. So we know there are 4 units on the top, and take a look at how many layers there are. 1, 2. There's 2 layers. Oops. So we have 2 layers. So our volume, to solve for volume, you could go 4 plus 4. You could go 4 times 2. And I hope you've figured it out already. 8 cubic units. To add our little volume sign right here. All right, let's move to a little bit of a harder one. Take a look at this one. How many units are on the top layer? Go ahead and write this one and see if you can solve this one by yourself on your whiteboard. I'm going to give you a quick sec. All right, Many of you have counted and you've seen that there are 9 units on that top layer, and you see that there are 2 layers. So solving for volume, that is not a formula. We're not getting into formulas just yet. Let me clarify that. 9 plus 9 is 18. 9 times 2, 18. And I hope at home you wrote down cubic units. Don't forget that 3. Okay, we're going to do a little self-assessing right now. How are you feeling about solving for volume? 1, you did okay. You might need a little more practice on simple problems. That would be your 1. 2, I'm getting it. I can show the steps correctly. 3, you've got this. You're ready for some challenge problems. We need to move a little faster for you. Which one are you? 1, 2, or 3? You're just self-assessing right now at home. Okay, I hope you know which number you are, 1, 2, or 3. I would like for you to complete the question. So 1, you're still needing a little bit more practice. 2, you're getting it fairly good. Or 3, you need a challenge. You are going to record your answer on your individual practice paper. It is the very first one up there. So go ahead, pause the video until you've finished completing this question. Record it on your individual practice paper, and when you're ready to keep going, push unpause and I'll be here waiting for you. Okay, welcome back. I hope you got that. We're going to take a look at a little bit of a different type of question. Take a look at this prism. It's only half full. Don't let questions like this confuse you. Right here, this airspace, that's what we're going to try to calculate to figure out what the total volume is. So to solve this one, we need to figure out first how many cubes are on the bottom layer. So let's take a look and let's start labeling it. First, we have 3 units right here. Let's go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 units right here. And some of you have already figured out that you can just multiply or skip count. 3 times 5 is 15, or you can go 5, 10, 15. So we know that there's 15 units on the bottom layer. How many layers? This one right here is your big clue. You have 1, and then there's 1 underneath it. See how it's sitting up top? So we have 2 layers. So we have 2 layers of 15 cubes stacked on each other. So 15 plus 15, 2 times 15. Go ahead and put in your volume. Write it on that whiteboard. Yes, I hope you got it. It is 30 cubic units. Do not forget to label it, especially when you turn that independent practice into me. I need to see labels. Alrighty, I would like for you to try this one on your own as well. This right here on your individual practice paper is going to be number 2. Oh, right over here. This gives you a huge hint. Bottom layer. How many layers? And just fill in your volume on your other paper, on your individual practice worksheet. Just going to give you a few seconds to work here. Alrighty, I hope you were able to figure that one out. Make sure your answer is recorded. Let's try one more together before I let you go. This one's a little bit more challenging, so we're going to take it nice and slow. So first off, how many units are on that bottom layer? Let's go ahead and just label this. We have 4. Do it with me on your whiteboard. It'll make the next part of your individual practice so much easier. And then we have 5 over here. So I hope by now you've figured out how many we have on the bottom layer. Go ahead, skip, count, multiply, count them all if you need to. How many are on that bottom level layer? How many cubes? So I went ahead and I did 5 times 4, and I have 20 cubes. How many layers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 layers. So we have 4 layers of 20 cubes. So I want you to imagine we have 20 on the bottom, we know that. We have 20 on the second layer. Sorry, my writing is so messy. 20 on the third layer and 20 on the fourth layer. All together, how many cubic units is this prism? 20, 40, 60, 80. 80 cubic units. Go ahead and write that on your whiteboard. 80. What's the unit? Cubic units. Alrighty, boys and girls. What I would like for you now to go do, we are almost done here. You have the rest of your individual practice worksheet to do. You have 4 boxes to complete by yourself, and then a word problem there on the bottom. When you are all done this, please make sure you scan and email it, take a picture and email it back to me, and I will get you feedback right away. If you need extra help, please email, let me know. We can set up some open office hour times. And the last thing, this link will be sent to you. It is awesome. Go ahead, go on there, play with it. It's so much fun. There's lots of cool different ones, some big boxes, you can use 2 different colors because it gets a little confusing. Like this one right here, you do green, purple, because it gets so many boxes, so many cubes. And always try to do that estimate first. Maybe you can get some right. Alrighty, boys and girls, thank you so much for coming, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.